Okay, so our advocate said that the bill does not solve problems of carbon emissions, and he compares it to the European model, which he says is similar to ours, and it resulted in few reductions of emissions. Well, the European model of carbon emissions is not really similar to our model at all. It was what they called a trial period from 05 to 07, in which they kind of tested out the cap and trade system, and it didn't work too well at first for certain reasons, such as their allowances for carbon emissions were extremely high, so it wasn't very binding on carbon emissions at all. However, our bill does the American cap and trade model does not do that. It plans to lower carbon emissions by 70% from 2005 levels by 2020, and in 2050, when the bill ends, it plans to lower emissions by 83% from 2005 levels. So it does plan to lower emissions. He then says that one of the reasons that crippled the system was the offset system, in which the companies could invest in other products that would reduce emissions, instead of actually buying allowances. But I believe that the offset system does not actually cripple the system. The different projects are allowed by the allowance or the offset system are specially picked by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And they're projects such as planting forests and building hydroelectric dams, building alternative energy sources. Those are directly aimed at reducing emissions. He then said that this bill discourages investment in technologies. However, the bill is directly opposed to that. The bill directly invests $190 billion into technologies such as alternative energy and reduced emissions and so forth. And he then compares it to the cap and trade system put in place in 1990 for sulfur dioxide. He says that it was not relevant because its problems were tangible and physical and caused physical damage. However, carbon emissions and other greenhouse gases are causing tangible and physical damage. The U.S. is already experiencing damage caused by climate change, such as in Alaska, where because of its northern climate change the temperature is rising twice as much as anywhere else in the United States. Since 1960, it's rise about 3% and 6.8% during the winter, and its ecosystem has showed for that. Lakes have been drying up, and wildfires occur more often, and swarms of pests that infest and destroy trees they occur more often, and it's hurting the economy. It's hurting a lot of the businesses there, such as fishing. He then says that it will cripple the economy because it will outsource jobs to other countries. Other companies will pick up and move to countries like India and China that do not have emissions regulations. However, China often uses the United States as an excuse for not reducing their own emissions. Because we don't reduce their emissions, China thinks they have the right to not reduce their emissions as well. He then says that the green economy, technology kind of develops itself to flow with our needs as a society, such as hybrid cars, how they came around because of crippling gas prices. However, it doesn't mean that we can't take preemptive moves and avoid stuff like crippling gas prices altogether. If we would have switched to more fuel-efficient cars in the first place, we wouldn't have as big of a problem when it comes to that. And that's all I have to say about his points.